All right, so tonight we're doing something a little different. We're going to take a look inside Donald Trump's New Year's Eve bash at Mar-a-Lago. But here's the catch. Our source material for this whole thing is a video from an insider that, well, claims to be from the future, 2026 to be exact. Yeah, you heard that right. So we're going to break down everything they caught on camera, from Trump's big resolutions for the year to a wild multi-million-dollar charity option. Let's dive in.
So, this is how the video starts. Seriously. Hello from the past. Time traveling like Doc and Marty. I mean, right away you know this isn't your typical news clip. It's got this weird kind of sci-fi vibe. The person filming is basically setting themselves up as a time traveler, which gives the whole thing a really unique, kind of personal feel.
Okay, so given that strange setup, our job here is pretty straightforward. We're just going to stick to what this insider actually shows us. We'll unpack the big moments of the night exactly as they filmed it and really focus on what they thought was important to capture.
All right, first things first, let's set the scene. So it's New Year's Eve at Mar-a-Lago, and according to our source, you can just feel the energy in the room. The crowd is buzzing, waiting for the night's main events to kick off, and that all starts with a speech from Trump.
And here we go. The first major moment that our insider zooms in on is Trump taking the stage. And, you know, he's not just up there to do the countdown. Nope, he's there to share his New Year's resolutions, which basically gives everyone a look at what's on his mind for 2026.
So, what exactly were these resolutions? Well, this gets us to a really interesting part of his speech. It was this mix of, huge political goals and some really specific and, really large financial promises.
So yeah, the big question, what are his goals for 2026? And luckily for us, the person filming got his answer on camera word for word.
His answer was really a tale of two parts. First, you have this big, broad idea. Peace on earth. Classic, right? But then the second part was way more political. Take back our country. And as you can probably guess, he didn't just leave it there. He immediately started digging into what that second part actually meant to him. And his whole explanation hinged on this one absolutely massive number, $18 billion. I mean, you can imagine that got everyone's attention. Suddenly, all eyes are on him as he starts to explain this huge figure.
So, okay, where in the world does $18 billion come from? Well, according to Trump's speech, he's alleging that this is money lost in what he calls a giant scam. And he names names, specifically pointing at states like California, Illinois, and New York.
And he doesn't just throw out the accusation and move on. He follows it up with a big promise. He tells the crowd point blank that this money will be recovered. He makes it sound like a central part of his whole plan, just confidently saying it's all coming back. All right, so after he lays out these big resolutions, the whole vibe of the evening shifts. We go from politics to charity with this really high-stakes auction. But, as our insider's camera shows us, this wasn't just any old auction. Oh no.
This centerpiece of this auction was, well, it was pretty wild. There was an artist live on stage painting a portrait of Jesus, right there in front of everyone. And get this, the second he puts the final brushstroke on it, bam, it's up for auction. The paint was probably still wet.
And this whole thing was for a good cause. All the money raised was set to be split 50-50 between two groups, St. Jude's Children's Hospital and the local sheriff's department.
And man, the bidding just took off. Our source's footage shows the price just skyrocketing past the $1 million almost instantly. Then it hits $2 million. Then someone throws out a bid for $2.5 million, and the whole room just goes quiet for a second. But it wasn't over. The final winning bid, an incredible $2.75 million. And just to give you a feel for the room, our source managed to catch this little piece of commentary from Trump. Right after that $2.5 million bid was made by a woman in the audience, he kind of turns and makes a joke about her husband's reaction. It was a funny moment that cut through some of the tension of the bidding.
Okay, and that brings us to the end of the video. And this might be the weirdest part of the whole thing. After the auction is over, the person filming gives their final take on the night. But there's a twist, a really big one.
So the narrator starts wrapping things up with this really powerful, almost poetic-sounding summary of Trump. They're talking about his unstoppable drive and endless energy. It sounds totally genuine, like something they're just saying from the heart, right in the moment.
But then, and this is the crazy part, literally seconds after saying all that, the narrator just completely changes their tone. They drop the act and say, straight up, wow, yes, it's a script and I just read it. Just like that.
I mean, that's a huge moment, right?
They're telling us flat out that what we thought was a spontaneous, heartfelt speech was, well, just a script. And that admission, that little peek behind the curtain, it totally changes how you see their big, glowing tribute to the night.
So that leaves us with one final big question. When you put it all together, you've got the political resolutions for the future, you've got this massive fundraising, and then you have this very carefully scripted message from a supporter. What exactly were we watching? Was it just a really elaborate New Year's party, or was it something more, like a preview of what's coming in 2026? And that's really the question that this very strange inside look leaves you